Well, hello and welcome back to Parc Fermé Parlay with Kieran Downey. It's race week once again. It is the final of our triple header, and this week we are on home turf for myself. That's right, we are in Britain for the 2024 British Grand Prix at the legendary, iconic Silverstone. My only regret this year is that I did not get Silverstone tickets. And as always, we are here to make our predictions for the 2024 Grand Prix. It's quite wild coming into a weekend now where it is so open. There's just this feeling going into the weekends where it could be, could we see Carlos Sainz back up there? Are we going to see Lewis or George? Is Charles Leclerc going to win another? Is Lando going to win his second? Could Oscar win his first? Is Max under threat? Yes, he is. There's just so many possibilities now, and it's riveting. I also can't believe I've just said all that, and now my predictions go against what I've just been talking about because, well, you're about to find out. But yeah, it's just quite exciting, isn't it? Let's move quickly on to pole position for the Silverstone Grand Prix, and it is just a Grand Prix weekend. There's no sprint this time round. And for pole position, I'm going Max Verstappen. And I'm thinking that I don't really need to explain why I think Max will be on top, but I just think he's coming back with an absolute vengeance this weekend. An absolute vengeance. That man is going to be wanting to get that 20-second gap put in pretty sweetly. Watching him qualify in Austria was just wild. Like seeing him putting in lap after lap and just knocking that time down. It was so insane to watch. Like, you can say many things about Max, but watching that man drive fast is just a beautiful thing. And I've seen so many things after Austria of Max lost his racecraft, like you put Max under pressure and he's actually not a good driver. We're not going to get into that. That man is an incredible driver. That man is a fantastic driver. And you put him in a car and he will get everything out of that car. And I just feel like that's what he's going to do this weekend. Again, as he has been doing, and just stick that Red Bull on pole position. That nice special liveried Red Bull. We'll come into that in a second. So yeah, Max Verstappen, pole position. There we are. Moving on to P3 for the race. Carlos Sainz. I think whatever's going on down at Ferrari, they need to sort it out. And I think this will be the weekend. I think they'll get their ducks in a row this weekend and sort out their problems. I'm saying this because I need it to happen, because I can't take much more of this. I can't take much more of Ferrari not being great. And you know something? I'm saying this when Carlos was on the podium last weekend. I think if Max and Lando hadn't crashed, I think, what, was he on for P5? I think it was P5, but sadness for Ferrari comes from Charles Leclerc being my boy, being my homeboy, my number one, my man, right? My man's. And it's paining me that he's just having, I think he's probably the unluckiest driver in F1. Like, genuinely, I think he is. Yeah, I think we'll see another good weekend from Carlos. I think he'll get back up. My heart went out to him. I think it was in the post-race press conference after Austria. He was asked about the championship standings, and he was like, you know, I'm not paying attention to that this year. He's like, I'm just trying to do as best I can, trying to get the podiums, get the race wins, because I need to capitalise and do that as much as I can this year, because I probably won't have that chance next year. Oh, it just breaks your heart. I just wanted to give him a hug. But there has been some liked Instagram posts. Somebody put up an Instagram graphic and it said in it, I think it was a tweet, somebody had screenshotted it and posted it on Instagram, and it had basically said that the best option for Mercedes, Carlos Sainz and Kimi Antonelli would be that Carlos Sainz would go to Mercedes for 2 years, Kimi Antonelli would go to Williams alongside Alex Albon for 2 years, embed himself into Formula One, get used to driving these cars, and then make his way in to Mercedes at the end of 2026, and Carlos could then make his decision of, is Audi good enough? Like, am I going to go to Audi now? Honestly, I think it makes the most sense that he goes to Mercedes. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. I'm sure we will find out fairly soon. I say this every goddamn week. The decision has to be made at some point. And Carlos is even saying, like, you know, we need to make a decision because it's weighing on, it's all I'm thinking about. Just make a goddamn choice, please. For all of us, I'm begging. Please, Carlos, just sign a bit of paper. Moving on. P2 for the race. Oscar Piastri. I think another little podium for my Aussie friend. He's got his special race boots. They look lovely. P2. P2 for Oscar Piastri. Got all the faith in him. He'll have a stellar weekend. I just think he will maximise the performance of that car and, you know, get McLaren a P2 at their home race. And finally, for P1 of the British Grand Prix, Max Verstappen. As I said when I was talking about pole position, that man gets everything out that car. He leaves nothing spare. Like, he will ink every bit of performance out of that car. He will be aggressive, he will race hard, and I just feel it in my bones that he will win the British Grand Prix. Another prediction being that I don't think there'll be a single British driver on the podium for the British Grand Prix. And listen, I would love nothing more than an all-Brit podium. Give me Lewis Hamilton, give me Lando Norris, give me George Russell on that podium. The crowds would be going wild. Like, when you watch the broadcast and, like, when Lewis Hamilton overtook, who was it? Was it Sergio Perez? Or was it Charles Leclerc? What was it? You know, the through goes Hamilton, famous Crofty commentary bit. That bit, you could hear the crowd roaring in the background. Same as when Lando got the lead of the British Grand Prix last year. The crowd just roaring in the background like that gets my blood pumping. And I would love nothing more than to hear, I mean, I'd love to be there. So maybe next year I'll be saying this, but I would love nothing more than to hear and see the crowds at Silverstone going wild for an all-British podium. Can you imagine how wild that would be? Now, my next prediction is that George Russell and Oscar Piastri will move ahead of Sergio Perez in the Drivers' Championship standings. So currently in the standings, Sergio Perez is 5th with 118 points. 6th is Oscar Piastri with 112, and 7th is George Russell with 111. I genuinely believe that at the end of this weekend, Sergio Perez will be 8th in the Drivers' Championship, and Oscar Piastri and George Russell will have moved past him. Now, for the Aston Martin boys, I'm going to say that Lance Stroll is going to continue his streak of outperforming Fernando Alonso. I said in my post-Austria race recap, I don't know what's going on at Aston Martin and why Fernando Alonso is just fallen off a cliff. Yeah, I just think Lance Stroll's going to outperform him again this weekend. So my final prediction for the British Grand Prix involves F2 driver Franco Colapinto. Now, Williams will be running Colapinto in FP1 this year at Silverstone. I don't know which of the drivers he's replacing, and it's part of the team's mandatory requirements to run a rookie driver in at least 2 FP1 sessions a year. We already had Iwasa for Racing Bulls in Japan. We had Jack Doohan at Alpine in Canada, and Oliver Bearman, who's actually doing 6 this year, I believe. He's already had 2 outings, one with Nico's car, one with Kevin's car, and I believe he's got another 4 this year. This weekend at Silverstone, Williams is running Franco Colapinto, as I said. Now, I am predicting that Franco Colapinto will place higher in his FP1 session for Williams than Logan Sargent will the rest of the weekend. I don't know if he's taking Alex's or Logan's car for FP1. I think it might be Logan's. Regardless, even if Logan is in FP1, I reckon that Colapinto will place higher in that one session than Logan will the rest of the weekend. And as I said, take timings out of it because the timings could be different. You know, Logan's qualifying times could be better than what Franco Colapinto's FP1 times are, because they're obviously just doing testing. It's crazy prediction. I'm putting it out there. We also have 2 teams running special liveries this weekend, and a driver running a special helmet. Imagine Lando, Lewis and George will have a special helmet. Fernando Alonso has already released his special helmet for this weekend. It's in partnership with Hugo Boss. I don't like it at all. It's just not my cup of tea. One of the teams is Williams, who has a special Union Jack livery, which I absolutely love. So lovely to see that the British flag is made up of all the names of the 1,000, I think it's 1,500 staff members that work at Williams. So it's just a lovely tribute for them. Also quite ironic that an American driver, Logan Sargent, is going to be racing at the British Grand Prix with a British team running a special British livery with the British flag on it right after the 4th of July. You don't think it is, but I thought it was just a bit ironic. And our other special livery that we've had revealed so far is that of Red Bulls. Now, theirs is putting the red in Red Bull. I really like the livery. They've got this whole like rebel vibe going on at the moment, and the video that they did to release it is utter brilliance. So yeah, 2 special liveries, a special pair of boots, and a special helmet so far. I imagine, as I said, we're going to get more. I think the 3 British drivers will have something. I definitely imagine Lando does. That man is the king of a special helmet. We are ready for the British Grand Prix. But yes, I will see you after practice on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your week. Love you, bye!